Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what we have for you guys today we have another episode of the Championship Roundup. In today's video we have a lot to go ahead and talk about, and always I'm very interested to get your guys' opinions on what you made of your team's performance this weekend. So we'll be going over each game individually. I'll be giving you guys my bit of analysis of what I made of each game, but I'm of course interested to know what you guys are saying this weekend. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for some regular Championship content. So before we actually get into talking about any of the games, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct this weekend, then I will include your comment on screen. Now, I didn't have a bad week. I managed to get one of my score predictions correct this weekend. That was the Sheff Wednesday against Ipswich Town game. And I managed to beat FIFA. FIFA didn't get any of their scorelines correct this weekend, so it was 1-0 to Ben. So that's not bad going from me. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and hop into talking about some of these games. So we'll start out with the Friday night game, which saw Middlesbrough go ahead and claim a 1-0 home victory over West Brom thanks to a last-minute Daniel Ayala winner. And as a spectacle, as a full 90 minutes, this wasn't really the best game to go ahead and watch, but an important 3 points for Middlesbrough nonetheless, who still are unbeaten in the league so far. In this game, I got the impression that West Brom were probably happy to play for a point for this one, really. They had quite a lot of the ball, but weren't very penetrating with it. I actually thought that West Brom were probably better in this game when they were playing on the counter-attack, because when they tried to build up the play themselves, their attacking players weren't really on it in this game. Middlesbrough, I thought they looked fairly good in this game, to be honest, and over the whole 90 minutes, they probably did deserve the 3 points. Before Daniel Ayala popped up with the winner, Middlesbrough probably did create the better chances in this game. Braithwaite had a good chance, which he spooned over the bar. Ryan Shotton had a very good chance at the far post, which he just headed over the crossbar. And West Brom did have their chances. Aidan Flint almost scoring an own goal, hitting his own crossbar, but in the end, it was Ayala who popped up with the winner. In terms of defending, I thought that West Brom could have dealt with that goal a bit better. It was a ball swinging into the box late on. Ayala had time to chest it down and then flick it into the bottom corner. So from a West Brom stance, quite poor from them, but Middlesbrough probably did deserve the 3 points in the end, and a good 3 points indeed. And our next game saw Aston Villa go up against Reading, and this one finished as a 1-1 draw, with Reading going ahead and nicking a last-minute equaliser thanks to a Sam Baldock penalty. In the first half of this game, I thought that Aston Villa probably had the better of it, really, with some of the chances they were creating. They just couldn't put anything to bed. El Ghazi was making his debut for Aston Villa in this game as well. He looks to be a very talented player, very technical player, some good movements off the ball as well. And he actually went ahead and set up the first goal in the second half for Aston Villa. It was an in-swinging cross coming in from the left-hand side, which was met by El Mohammadi to go ahead and make it 1-0 to Aston Villa. After Villa made it 1-0, they didn't really have the energy to go ahead and kill the game off, which I was a bit disappointed with, really. You know, Jack Grealish did come off at half-time for Aston Villa. He came off with an injury, and they were lacking a bit more impetus going forward in this game to go ahead and really put Reading to the sword. That, of course, let them grow back into the game, and Villa were dropping deeper and deeper into the second half. Reading had one fantastic chance in the second half. It was a point-blank save from Nyland as Baldock was storming into the box, and from about 4 yards out, he managed to go ahead and tip it onto the crossbar. A bit of weak defending from Villa, I thought, to allow that cross to get into the box, but it was a last-minute penalty which saw Reading get back into the game. A poor decision from James Chester to go ahead and dive in that late on into the game. You know, he should know better, but you can't really go in too hard on a player like James Chester, because over the past few years he has been one of Villa's best performers, really. But a good point for Reading in the end, finishing as a 1-1 draw. Our next game then saw Blackburn Rovers go ahead and pick up a 1-0 home victory against Brentford. In terms of this game, I didn't think that either side were at their best in this one. Both of them were missing key players. Blackburn were without Bradley Dack, and Brentford were without Neil Maupay, who was serving his first game ban of a 3-game suspension. And you know, in the end of this game, Blackburn actually only had 2 shots, but they managed to go ahead and get the job done in the end. You could sort of tell that Brentford were without their talisman going forward. A lot of the chances that they crafted out in this game were from long range, and I've got to give credit to Raya, the Blackburn Rovers goalkeeper, because he popped up with some terrific saves in this game. One from Yanaris and one in the second half, which was a dipping effort from outside the box, which he managed to go ahead and tip over the bar. He really did have a superb game for Blackburn Rovers to go ahead and keep a clean sheet in this one. Brentford, they crafted a couple of nice passing opportunities. Ollie Watkins cutting inside had a couple of attempts as well, but nothing was really falling to them inside the box. That's where they were really missing a player like Neil Maupay to go ahead, his movements and his killer instinct inside the final 6-yard box. In the end, though, it was Casey Palmer who went ahead and won it for Blackburn Rovers with his first goal since arriving there on loan from Chelsea. A nice finish from him in the end, and that now takes Blackburn up up to 5th in the table with 9 points, so it's been a good start for Blackburn. Then we saw Sheff Utd go ahead and beat Bolton Wanderers by 3-0 in what was a very convincing performance from the away side. So far we've seen Bolton be a bit of a surprise package in the Championship, already going ahead and accumulating double points. For this game though, their performance levels dropped a bit really, and Sheffield United were by far the better team in this one. Their wing backs for this game were playing incredibly high, and they were just creating overloads in those wide areas which Bolton couldn't really deal with. That's how the first goal was created for them, which was nicely finished by Duffy after just 5 minutes. They then managed to go ahead and double their lead after 22 minutes with a nice goal from Freeman, and Sheffield United in the second half continued that momentum really, and Bolton couldn't really live with it. Going forward, they didn't really manage to muster up any clear-cut opportunities, and Sheffield United weren't really troubled for that, you know. I don't think anyone expected Bolton to keep up this tempo that they've started the season with, and you know, it's just a one-off result maybe for Bolton. Next up for them, they got my team Preston then, so it'll be interesting to see how they go ahead and respond for that game. But Sheffield United in the second half once again creating chances. David McGoldrick almost scoring an absolute wonder goal in the second half with about a 30-yard volley, but that was nicely tipped over by the Bolton keeper. But then they did manage to go ahead and make it 3-0 with John Fleck wrapping up the game for them. So after a couple of dodgy performances at the start of the season for Sheffield United, what I've seen from them lately, they've been looking quite good. And our next game saw my team Preston then go ahead and lose 2-0 to Derby County. This means that we have now lost back-to-back games 2-0, and in all honesty, it wasn't a brilliant performance from Preston yet again. In the first half, up until Derby scored, we weren't looking awful, you know. In terms of keeping hold of the ball and trying to create something, we were looking alright, but we didn't really muster up any clear-cut opportunities. Callum Robinson had a couple of chances, and in my opinion, at this point in time, our only attacking player who's looking to create anything at the moment is Callum Robinson, and he was the only one who was forcing Scott Carlson into making a couple of saves. But both goals that Derby scored in this game, I've got a problem with both of them. The first goal came from an attack down the left-hand side, lackadaisical defending from Darnell Fisher yet again, who was caught out of position. Mason Mount gets the ball in the centre of the box, and then it was a shot just sort of straight at Declan Rudd, which managed to squirm under him. Don't get me wrong, I do like Declan Rudd, I think he's a very good keeper, but he should be doing better with both goals in my opinion. Both goals that Derby scored in this one, Declan Rudd should be saving. The first one squirmed under him, the second one came from a corner where it was Richie Keogh who managed to get a run on Paul Huntington. He outjumps him, and then Declan Rudd gets down to the ball, but still it managed to squirm past him in the near post. And like I said, I thought that both goals from a Preston point of view were avoidable. Our defending lately has been shoddy, and going forward once again we're just looking a bit toothless at the moment. Nemetcha and Louis Moll, neither of them have scored a goal so far this season, and neither of them have really staked a claim as to why they should be starting. But as we've only got 2 fit strikers at the moment, it's a bit of a predicament for Neil. So it is still very early days, but we've got to see a reaction against Bolton next Saturday. But one player who did stand out to me for Derby, and has done so far this season, was Mason Mount once again, running the show for Derby County. You can tell by the way he plays, he's a very intelligent footballer, and obviously coming on loan from Chelsea this season, Derby I think could be in for a good season with him being the orchestrator of that Derby County side. So a good win for Derby in the end. Preston though, far off the pace so far this season. Our next game then saw Leeds United go ahead and beat Norwich City by 3-0 in what was a very convincing performance from the away side yet again. Leeds so far this season currently top of the Championship. I can't lie about it, they have looked very impressive so far. What I've been most surprised by with Leeds so far this season is how quickly they've been able to adapt to Marcelo Bielsa. You know, if you contrast this side to Leeds last season, they are just polar opposites. But one thing I do like about Leeds United is how direct they are with their possession. Something that quite a few Championship clubs are guilty of. Preston have been guilty of this, especially this season, is having possession for possession's sake and not crafting out opportunities from that. Leeds United are fantastic with their one-touch football, and Norwich couldn't really deal with that in this game today. I think the goal that Alioski scored, there was about 18 passes in the build-up, and they're always looking for that forward option. They only go backwards when they need to, and that's something that is very hard to deal with. And every player at Leeds United seems to be very switched on to this style of play, and when you've got 11 players playing in the right direction, all pulling their weight in the side, it's a very hard team to play against. And Norwich in this game, they started the game fairly well, in fairness to them, until they went 1-0 down. Then their heads started to drop, and they never really got back into the game from there. Going forward, Norwich didn't really offer much to go ahead and break Leeds United down. They were looking fairly comfortable at the back, and Leeds scored some very nice goals in this one. It was Click who managed to go ahead and open the scoring. Alioski, a very nice passing move, led to that goal, and then Pablo Hernandez in the second half managed to go ahead and wrap it up with a very nice bending attempt, which managed to wrap it up and make it 3-0 to Leeds. So, you know, Leeds fans, I don't think they're getting too carried carried away with the start to the season. You know, we've been here before with Leeds, with them starting the season well, but from what I've seen from them so far, they have looked very good. And then we saw QPR go ahead and claim their first win of the season with a 1-0 home victory over Wigan Athletic, and this could be massive to get QPR's season up and running. Up until this point in the Championship, QPR have looked far off the pace, but Steve McLaren changed a couple of things around in this game. Both of their new signings, Tomer Hemed and Naki Wells, went ahead and started this game, and they gave them a bit more impetus going forward. It was actually Tomer Hemed who went ahead and stepped up with a winner for them, with quite a nice acrobatical finish actually. And with those two strikers coming into the team, they give QPR a bit of a different dynamic going forward. Tomer Hemed, a very good hold-up player, but is a bit more mobile than someone like Matt Smith, who they were playing there previously. And then you've got someone like Naki Wells to go ahead and play off him and go ahead and make runs in behind. And they were causing Wigan some problems in this game. Wigan in general, they had a lot of the ball in this one, and they created some decent chances, but nothing was able to go ahead and beat the keeper in the end. QPR actually went ahead and swapped around their keepers for this one, and it was a good choice in the end, keeping their first clean sheet of this season, and they defended quite well in this one as well. QPR so far this season defensively have looked absolutely all over the place, but this one they were looking a lot more resolute and managed to hold on for that 1-0 in the end. Wigan weren't perhaps the best. We've seen them better so far this season with some of the chances they have took, but a good start for QPR to go ahead and get their season up and going now. And this game then saw Sheff Wednesday go ahead and claim a 2-1 home victory over Ipswich Town, which does now leave Ipswich bottom of the Championship, only on 2 points without a win so far this season. In this game it was Lucas Jow who gave Sheff Wednesday the lead, a nice corner coming in from Barry Bannon, and then Lucas Jow at the far post managed to go ahead and nod them 1-0 in front. Ipswich responded quite well to that actually. It was Insilla who managed to go ahead and make it 1-1, and they had some other chances in that first half. Dawson had to be kept on his toes for Sheff Wednesday to go ahead and ensure that they went in level at the break. Into the second half, the big talking point was the red card for Ipswich Town. It was Insilla who was sent off after 75 minutes, and I'll be interested to get your guys' verdict on this one, both Sheff Wednesday and Ipswich Town fans, or the general Championship viewer, because I've seen a lot of differing opinions on Twitter, and I'd be very interested to see what you guys make of it. The controversial thing about it was it was a tackle against Fernando Forestieri. He did win the ball, but his studs were up, and he did catch Forestieri on, I think, the ankle in the end, or it might have been the shin, and obviously Forestieri then went over after that. It's a controversial one. When I saw it in real time, I thought the red card was harsh, but then when you watch it in slow motion at a really zoomed in angle, you can see why the referee has given the red card for that, you know. It gets into all the laws then of endangering an opponent and everything like that. So let me know down below what you guys made of that one. But then it was Lucas Jow who actually stepped up with the winner for Sheff Wednesday a couple minutes after that red card. Once again, the goal coming from a set piece. Ipswich were a bit of a mess with defending it really, and in the end it was Lucas Jow who popped up with the winner. So this result, like I said, now leaves Ipswich at the bottom of the Championship. Ipswich fans, let me know down below what have you made of the start to the season you've had so far. I think that you can tell that they're trying to play football in the right way under Paul Hurst, but with the players that they've brought in so far haven't all necessarily clicked, so it's an interesting start to the season. Next game then saw Stoke City go ahead and claim their first win of the season with a convincing 2-0 home victory over Hull City. In this one I thought that Hull were quite lacklustre really. It didn't help that they did get a man sent off in the second half of Andro for 2 yellow cards, and after that the hopes of getting back into the game were gone really. They finished the game without a shot on target and didn't really offer much going forward. Stoke I thought showed a massive improvement from what they showed in midweek after they were beat 3-0 at home to Wigan Athletic, and it was James McLean who managed to go ahead and open the scoring after he followed up from a corner from outside the box. A very nice low drive into the bottom corner. After that we then saw Stoke go ahead and continue pressing in this game. One player who really stood out to me for Stoke in this game was Etebo. It was looking like he was absolutely running the show for Stoke City, and we're seeing more of what they're capable of now, and hopefully for Stoke this will be the start of something for them. The only criticism you could have of Stoke for this game was they didn't score more goals, because they were certainly capable of it with some of the chances they were creating in this one. But a very convincing win for Stoke in the end, and hopefully for Stoke that'll be the start of something now. Hull on the other hand, I didn't think they looked brilliant. Next game then saw Bristol City go ahead and claim a 1-0 away victory at Swansea City. They took the lead after just 31 seconds into this game, and once again it was their main man Vyman who popped up with the winner for this one. Already this season he's gone ahead and popped up with 5 goals, and Bristol City just seemed to have a knack of producing top scoring players, and I think that last season Vyman only scored 5 goals for Derby County in the whole of that season. He's already gone ahead and matched that for Bristol City, and for this one Bristol City were the deserved winners really. Swansea City so far with some of their performances, this was their first defeat of the season, but they've been a bit all over the place really, you know. Some weeks they've really not been the best, and some weeks they absolutely blow teams away with some of the players they've got going forward, so they've been a bit hit or miss so far this season. This game was certainly a miss for for them. Going forward, they didn't really have a lot to offer Bristol City. Thomas Callas came into the Bristol City black line. I thought that he stabilised them quite well, actually. Van der Horn had a chance late on for Swansea City, but apart from that, they weren't really mustering up much going forward, and Bristol City definitely had opportunities to go ahead and make it more than 1-0. So a good 3 points in the end for Bristol City, who have shown definite signs of improvement so far. And then we saw Nottingham Forest draw 2-2 with Birmingham, and for the third game in a row, really, Birmingham are going to feel hard done by, because they should have gone ahead and picked up all 3 points from this game. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Nottingham Forest once again looking quite far off the pace, actually, but Nottingham Forest just seem to have a knack at the moment with putting in fairly average performances, but they still get something out of the game. So maybe that's a good sign for Nottingham Forest, I'm not sure. But Birmingham, especially in the first half of this one, were absolutely running the show. They managed to go ahead and take the lead with a nice goal from Djukovic. A ball coming in from the left-hand side from Magoma. Djukovic sort of leaning back on themselves, managed to flick it across goal to make it 1-0 to Birmingham. Birmingham then managed to go ahead and double their lead in the second half. It was Cherthams with a fierce effort from outside the box to go ahead and make it 2-0. And they had other chances to go ahead and make it 3, really. Magoma once again looking very good, Jota creating chances, and Birmingham played some really nice football going forward. You know, their transition play from the midfield to the attack was looking very good, and they should have picked up all 3 points from this game, but Lee Camp for Birmingham City. Birmingham fans, let me know down below what is your opinion on Lee Camp. When they made that signing in the first place, I was very sceptical about it, and in my opinion, he's probably cost you some points in this one. The first goal scored by Joe Lolly to get Nottingham Forest back into the game. It was a good strike from outside the box, but Lee Camp should be doing better with it. The same can be said for the second goal as well. He parried the initial shot straight into the path of Daryl Murphy, and then he managed to beat Lee Camp at his near post, and it's quite an interesting situation with Birmingham with their goalkeeper situation at the moment. For the first few games they were playing Truman in net, they then brought in Lee Camp, and they've also got David Stockdale and Thomas Kujak still at the club. So Birmingham fans, let me know down below, who do you want to see starting? Gary Monk, I think he's going to stick with Lee Camp, if I'm being honest. I think that will cost Birmingham points throughout the season, but they should have gone to pick up all 3 points from this one, and Forest weren't brilliant, but they did manage to get something from it. And then finally we saw Rotherham United go ahead and beat Millwall by 1-0 in what was quite a good performance from the home side, actually. In the end, it was Sean Raggett who popped up with the only goal. It was a nice ball into the box from Joe Newell, and he managed to go ahead and nod them 1-0 in front. After that, Rotherham had a couple of other chances as well. Michael Smith had a good chance for them in the second half. It was some nice counter-attacking play from Kyle Vassell breaking forward, playing the ball into Smith, but he couldn't make it 2-0. Rodak in net for Rotherham, had to make a couple of saves as well, with Millwall pressing towards the end of the game. Tom Bradshaw had a decent chance, which he just put over the bar in the end, but Millwall just lacking a bit of quality in the final third to get something from this game. They'll have been quite frustrated, really. But one thing I would say about Rotherham recently is quite a lot has been made of Paul Werner. Quite a lot of interviews have been coming out lately about how he likes to conduct himself with this Rotherham squad, and you can tell that there's a good mentality within that team, and I quite like what I've seen from Paul Werner so far, and how he's conducted himself managing this team. So guys, they were all the games that did take place this weekend. As you can see on screen now, that is how the championship table is currently looking. Currently we've got Leeds United and Middlesbrough both top on 13 points at the moment. Into the relegation zone, Ipswich Town bottom only with 2 points. Same with Reading as well. QPR still in the relegation zone as well. My team Preston then worryingly are sat 20th. We really need to stop picking up the pace at the moment, but that's how the championship's currently looking. In terms of my results of the weekend, quite a few contenders for this one. I could easily give it to Leeds United or Sheffield United for picking up 3-0 away victories, but I'm actually going to go ahead and give it to QPR. I think that before this weekend, QPR were looking dead and buried already. You know, they were looking absolutely diabolical, but with some of the signs they made and that 1-0 home victory they picked up, I think that in terms of what that will mean to their season, it could be massive for them. So my result of the weekend is going to go to QPR for picking up a 1-0 home victory over Wigan Athletic. And then in terms of my goal of the weekend, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Pablo Hernandez of Leeds United for his curling effort against Norwich City, which made it 3-0 to Leeds. And something new that I'd like to introduce into these videos is giving a player of the week. I had this suggested in the last video, and so my championship player of the week is going to be Raya of Blackburn Rovers, their goalkeeper. He popped up with some absolutely magnificent saves against Brentford to go ahead and keep a clean sheet, so my player of the weekend is going to be Raya. Well guys, that will now wrap it up for this video, so if you did go into enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for some regular championship content. But apart from that guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.